Well, Parliament is back from summer recess today, and so is Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp. Good morning to you, Mr. Philp.
Good morning.
Morning. Can I start by asking about the government plans to tighten the rules on migrant dependents? So we understand it will be a restriction of when refugees can bring over their families. They'll need to have a certain amount of money behind them. There's also going to be a stricter English language requirement. What do you make of those plans as we understand them? It sounds like it would be good for integration.
Well, look, I mean, these are basically tweaks around the edges. Frankly, people that enter this country illegally should not be allowed to stay at all. And they certainly shouldn't be allowed to bring any family members in at all if they entered the country illegally. So our view on this is that anyone crossing the channel on a small boat, anyone entering the country illegally, whether or not they claim asylum, should be, frankly, removed immediately, either back to their country of origin or to a safe third country, for example, Rwanda, but it could be somewhere else. If not, they shouldn't be staying here, shouldn't be staying in hotels or anything else. They shouldn't be bringing any family members over. Anyone who enters this country illegally should be removed. It is as simple as that. And what the government are doing today is simply tinkering around the edges. They don't seem to recognise we have a full-blown migration crisis on our hands, on Labour's watch. The numbers crossing the channel on small boats are up about 40% since last year. This year, 2025, has been the worst year in history for small boat crossings. The government are in denial, and all they're doing is tinkering around the edges. Apart from fixing the problem, the only way to fix the problem is to remove everybody who crosses the channel illegally immediately the minute their feet touch dry land.
Right, but is that even feasible? I mean, it's certainly nothing you were ever able to do.
Well, I think, yes, it is feasible. We've tabled a deportation bill in Parliament just a few weeks ago, a detailed bill. Labour predictably voted against it. But I think it is feasible, yes, to return people either to their country of origin. We did that with lots of Albanians, for example, cut the numbers of Albanians crossing by 90%, or to use a third country like Rwanda if you can't return to the country of origin, which in some cases is difficult. And that Rwanda plan took 2 years to get it set up, all the legal challenges. You probably remember we had to pass a new law through Parliament, but that was ready to go by July of last year, just after the election. And what did Keir Starmer do? He went and cancelled it with no replacement, and numbers have surged. And you know what? He must be sometimes laying awake at night in Downing Street in a cold sweat, thinking to himself, it was a mistake to cancel that Rwanda plan, because numbers have gone up. All Labour have are gimmicks. Do you remember first they said they're going to smash the gangs? Well, that didn't happen. Then they said the French were going to do something in the sea, close to the shore. That hasn't happened either. Then they said they were going to send 50 people a week back, which firstly would make no difference because it means 94% of people could stay. And actually, even not a single person has been sent back to France, so far as I'm aware. And now they said they're going to tweak family rules. All of these things are little gimmicks, tweaking at the edges. None of them made any difference, and the government don't understand we have a full-blown crisis. People are furious about this, rightly. That's why there are protests erupting up and down the country at the hotels. The government was said just this weekend, Bridget Phillipson yesterday said she thought the rights of illegal immigrants were more important than the rights of local people in Epping, doubling down on what the government lawyer said in the court case last week. No wonder people are angry with the government about this.
Yeah, OK, and I know the Conservatives have got this plan in place now, haven't they? And you've phrased it as saying you're trying to force the Labour Party to decide whether it stands with local communities or illegal migrants, and this is peers who are going to table amendments to the Planning and Infrastructure Bill. But at one point under the Tories, there was 400 migrant hotels. It's down to about 210, we think, at the moment. I mean, you didn't seem to be that bothered about the concerns of local communities when you were in power. So how now are you the champions of local communities?
Well, that reduction from 400 down to about 200 or 210, that entirely happened during the last 9 months of the last government. Since the election, the numbers of illegal immigrants in these asylum hotels has actually gone back up again. It's gone up by about 8%. So I accept it should never have got to 400. That is a fair point. I accept that. But the last government did get it down from 400 to 200 in 9 months. And if that rate of reduction had continued, right now we'd have no illegal immigrants in hotels at all. We now have a new leadership. I'm a new Shadow Home Secretary. We've got a new leader. We have a new approach, which is to make sure every single illegal immigrant crossing the Channel is immediately removed. And that will firstly mean no one staying in hotels or apartments or anything else. It will also have a massive deterrent effect, because if you're an illegal immigrant in Europe, you're not going to bother crossing if you know you're going to get immediately removed. This is a national crisis, in my view. It's a border crisis. It's also a public safety crisis, because we've seen hundreds of these illegal immigrants in the hotels getting charged with serious criminal offences, including sexual assaults against women and girls as young as 8. One of these men was convicted recently for raping a 15-year-old girl. And part of his defence in court was to say he didn't understand it was wrong because of his culture. He was from Afghanistan, which is an absolutely disgraceful thing to say, but it highlights that this border security crisis is also putting women and girls at risk. Enough is enough. It has to end, but this government is too weak to do what is needed. What is needed is to remove everybody, every single person, 100%, who crosses the English Channel by small boat. And they're just not willing to do it because they don't understand it's a crisis. And as they've themselves admitted, they're more interested in the so-called human rights of illegal immigrants than they are in protecting the British public.
We're out of time with you, I'm afraid, this morning, Mr. Philp, but thank you very much for joining us here on Breakfast.